Monopoly game. Monopoly is a multiplayer economics-themed board game. In the game, players roll 2 dice to move around the game board, buying and trading properties and developing them with houses and hotels. Players collect rent from their opponents and aim to drive them into bankruptcy. Money can also be gained or lost through chance and community chest cards and tax squares. Players receive a salary every time they pass go and can end up in jail, from which they cannot move until they have met one of 3 conditions. House rules, hundreds of different editions, many spin-offs, and related media exist. Monopoly has become a part of international popular culture, having been licensed locally in more than 103 countries and printed in more than 37 languages. As of 2015, it was estimated that the game had sold 275 million copies worldwide. The original game was based on locations in Atlantic City, New Jersey, United States. Monopoly is derived from the landlord's game created by Lizzie Meiji in the United States in 1903 as a way to demonstrate that an economy that rewards individuals is better than one where monopolies hold all the wealth, and to promote the economic theories of Henry George, in particular, his ideas about taxation. The landlord's game originally had 2 sets of rules, one with tax and another on which the current rules are mainly based. When Parker Brothers first published Monopoly in 1935, the game did not include the less capitalistic taxation rule, resulting in a more aggressive game. Parker Brothers was eventually absorbed into Hasbro in 1991. The game is named after the economic concept of a monopoly, the domination of a market by a single entity. Further information: history of the Monopoly game. Early history. Lizzie Meiji's 1904 board design, The Landlord's Game, was a predecessor of Monopoly. The history of Monopoly can be traced back to 1903, when American anti-monopolist Lizzie Meiji created a game that she hoped would explain the single tax theory of Henry George. It was intended as an educational tool to illustrate the negative aspects of concentrating land in private monopolies. She took out a patent in 1904. Her game, The Landlord's Game, was self-published, beginning in 1906. Meiji created 2 sets of rules: an anti-monopolist set in which all were rewarded when wealth was created, and a monopolist set in which the goal is to create monopolies and crush opponents. Several variant board games, based on her concept, were developed from 1906 through the 1930s. They involved both the process of buying land for its development and the sale of any undeveloped property. Cardboard houses were added, and rents increased as they were added to a property. Meiji patented the game again in 1923. According to an advertisement placed in the Christian Science Monitor, Charles Todd of Philadelphia recalled the day in 1932 when his childhood friend Esther Jones and her husband, Charles Darrow, came to their house for dinner. After the meal, the Todds introduced Darrow to The Landlord's Game, which they then played several times. The game was entirely new to Darrow, and he asked the Todds for a written set of the rules. After that night, Darrow went on to utilize this and distribute the game himself as Monopoly. The Parker brothers bought the game's copyrights from Darrow. When the company learned Darrow was not the sole inventor of the game, it bought the rights to Meiji's patent for $500. Parker Brothers began marketing the game on November 5, 1935. Cartoonist F.O. Alexander contributed the design. U.S. Patent number US 2,026,082 was issued to Charles Darrow on December 31, 1935 for the game board design and was assigned to Parker Brothers Inc. The original version of the game in this format was based on the streets of Atlantic City, New Jersey. 1936-1970. Parker Brothers began licensing the game for sale outside the United States in 1936. In 1941, the British Secret Intelligence Service had John Washington Limited, the licensed manufacturer of the game in the United Kingdom, create a special edition for World War II prisoners of war held by the Nazis. Hidden inside these games were maps, compasses, real money, and other objects useful for escaping. They were distributed to prisoners by fake charity organizations created by the British Secret Service. 1907 to 1980s. Economics professor Ralph Anspach published Anti-Monopoly in 1973 and was sued for trademark infringement by Parker Brothers in 1974. The case went to trial in 1976. Ansbach won on appeals in 1979 as the Ninth Circuit Court determined that the trademark monopoly was generic and therefore unenforceable. The United States Supreme Court declined to hear the case, allowing the appellate court ruling to stand. This decision was overturned by the passage of Public Law 98-620 in 1984. With that law in place, Parker Brothers and its parent company, Hasbro, continue to hold valid trademarks for the game Monopoly. However, anti-monopoly was exempted from the law, and Ansbach later reached a settlement with Hasbro and markets his game under license from them. Hasbro ownership. Hasbro acquired Parker Bros. And thus Monopoly in 1991. Before the Hasbro acquisition, Parker Bros. Acted as a publisher, only issuing two versions at a time, Irregular and Deluxe. Hasbro moved to create and license many other versions of Monopoly and sought public input in varying the game. A new wave of licensed products began in 1994 when Hasbro granted a license to use Monopoly to begin publishing a San Diego edition of Monopoly, which has since been followed by more than 100 more licensees, including Winning Moves Games since 1995 and Winning Solutions, Inc. since 2000 in the United States. The company held a national tournament on a chartered train going from Chicago to Atlantic City CU.S. National Championship in 2003. Also that year, Hasbro sued the maker of Monopoly and won. In February 2005, the company sued Rad Games over their super add-on accessory board game that fit in the center of the board. The judge initially issued an injunction on February 25, 2005, to halt production and sales before ruling in Rad Games' favor in April 2005. The speed die was added to all regular Monopoly sets in 2008. After polling their Facebook followers, Hasbro Gaming took the top house rules and added them to a house rule edition released in the fall of 2014 and added them as optional rules in 2015. In January 2017, Hasbro invited internet users to vote on a new set of game pieces, with this new regular edition to be issued in March 2017. On May 1, 2018, the Monopoly Mansion Hotel agreement was announced by Hasbro's managing director for Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, Jenny Chee with Mon101 Holdings SDNBHD. Mon101 has the 5-star, 225-room hotel, then under construction, located at the Mon101 Bukit Bintang in Kuala Lumpur, and would have a 1920s Gatsby feel. Mon101 Sirocco Group would manage the hotel when it opened in 2019. Hasbro announced in March 2021 that it plans to update the community chest cards with ones that will be more socially aware, inviting fans of the game to vote on the new versions. In April 2022, Hasbro announced another poll. This vote would see the reintroduction of one previously retired token in exchange for an existing token. The result of this will see the Thimble token return and the T-Rex phase out by fall 2022.